He is the first undisputed WWF champion of all time, 32 total wrestling titles, 6-time WWE champion, and the host of Talk is Jericho podcast on Podcast One, which is where you can check out this podcast every single day on The Rich Eisen Show. No is a 4-letter word is his new book. That's the sound of the book hitting the desk.
It is.
Next of which, Chris Jericho is sitting. Good to see you, sir.
I want to say that you have the best logo.
Thank you.
I love this, like, the fugitive, like, Band on the Run type thing.
Yep. It's like Mad Men-ish a
Mad
little bit,
Men,
too.
little Reservoir Dogs, like you're on the run. Like, this could mean anything. You're on the run from the cops or on the run from an angry husband or whatever it may be, but I really like that.
Well, what I'm on the run from is neither of what you just mentioned. I'm running to something, which is the 40-yard dash line at the scouting combine every year in my suit and tie, as I've done every single year.
Oh, so there's a thing behind it.
There is a thing behind it, and it's a great use of the word thing because it is not fast.
So this is a thing.
It is it is a thing. It is something, yes.
Or you could be running towards the bookstore to buy a copy of
Noah's a four-letter
How
word.
Gene Simmons of a segue was that, right?
Well, speaking of, you got Paul Stanley
to do the forward. So here's the story behind this book. So
yes.
I've done 3 autobiographies in like 8 years. And I like to write, and I got a lot of ridiculous stories. And I thought, do we really need a 4th Chris Jericho autobiography? It made it a little bit overkill. I'm not like Jack Kerouac or something like that.
Nice.
So I always get asked, like, how did you get into wrestling? How did you get into music? How did you make it in both?
Yes.
So I decided to put together like 20 lessons, 20 principles that I'd learned from famous people, fictional characters, friends of mine that enabled me to attain these goals. Mm-hmm. So one of the principles is the Gene Simmons principle, which is always dress like a star, always look like a star.
Okay.
The Paul Stanley principle is eliminate negativity.
Okay.
The Yoda principle is do not try, do. No, there's no try, there's only do. Mm-hmm. So every little thing, like all these little lessons and putting together. So now I'm like a motivational speaker now, Rich.
Look at you.
I'm like the next like Tony
Robbins,
Little.
Yeah.
I'm the next Tony Little and Tony Robbins is what I'm saying right now.
Okay, I like it. And Paul Stanley is on your speed dial?
Well, here's the thing. So there was this quote that I saw when I was 16 years old from a documentary that Paul was in. And he said, the only people that are going to tell you can't do something are the ones that have failed. I'm not going to tell you that you can't do something because I did it. You can do it. And to me, it was like he was talking to me like, you can do it. Because I wanted to be a wrestler and I wanted to be in a rock and roll band.
And look at you.
So here we are, full circle. Mm-hmm. I'm now friends with Paul, asked him to do the forward to the book. So his quote is what started this, and now he's doing the forward for my book as well.
Which is awesome.
Really
and
cool,
it's a great way for you to go full circle like that.
Yeah.
I remember the number of times in the summer or the fall of 1994 when I was driving around upstate New York with my tapes trying to bust into the television business. Seriously. And then I was sending the tapes around the country looking for a job. The number of times I was told no.
Right.
And I took that as an insult. I really did. Mm-hmm. Especially one spot in upstate New York. I went and I found the operation because it hadn't been started yet. There was like a 24/7, 365 news cable operation that was being started out in the Troy, Schenectady, Albany area. Okay.
Anybody at home spell Schenectady if you're not from there? Impossible.
Don't even do it. Even sober. Even sober, you can't do
exactly.
it. And so the reason why I'm telling you this is it hadn't started up yet, and I got a letter saying we received your tape, and this is before GPS on your phone. I drove to the address. I stopped at a gas station, asked for directions, and I found the people in their house. Wow. And the guy looked at me in the face, and standing in his living room, he told me, I don't have any time for any of this, dropped the S-bomb, and said, I don't have time for walk-ins, and sent me on my way. And I went back in my car in the middle of Schenectady, and I'm like, what the hell am I going to do next? And I thought to myself, pretty much what you're saying on your book cover, that no is a 4-letter word, for real.
People, I found like it really is an ugly word, because people throw that word out very easily and accept it very easily. I always like to disconstruct the no and find out how can I build it into a yes. Because I think there's a lot of laziness involved, and people will give up very easily with a no. You can. I mean, look at you now. Beautiful set, great guest. Yes. And where's that guy in Schenectady now? Nowhere. Shoveling snow for $5 an hour.
I defy to have a silhouette of him on a mug.
Exactly.
You know what I
He's
mean?
got no silhouettes on his mugs.
But no is also. I mean, do you have kids?
Yeah, I have
okay.
3 kids.
Okay, but no's an important word to teach kids, though.
Well, yeah,
right?
yes.
Growing up, they have to hear no.
This is not no. Like if you ask, no is a 4-letter word. If you ask a girl on a date and she says no, or if you want an extra cookie. I'm talking about success and building your career and living your life with an attitude of like, I'm going to do this. If you believe in it and believe in yourself, that's the Jericho principle. Believe in yourself because no one else will.
Okay.
You don't have to accept it. You can do it. You can do anything you want to do. And that sounds like real philosophical type of. But I have the rules that prove that in this book.
What's the Vince McMahon rule?
Oh wow! It's called work hard and then work harder. He's the hardest worker in the room.
Is that right?
It's true. And as you know, Rich, if you want to, once again, you have to put in the work. You have to put in the time, the sacrifice. And all of those principles make sense.
Chris Jericho here on the Rich Eisen Show. Would you ever want to go back to work for Vince McMahon?
Oh, absolutely. I've got a great relationship. I stopped working there in May. I think last year, 2016, might have been the best run of my career. But I always come and go. It's the right way to do things at this stage because if you're around too long, you almost get taken for granted. It's like, you're like the old prostitute on the street. There's Jericho. Oh, he's always good. But if I just compared myself to an old prostitute, you're not going to hear that anywhere else, ladies and gentlemen.
Not at all.
But it's like now when I leave, they're always wanting more, and then come back, and then leave and come back.
Sure.
So, but I love working for Vince. He's great, and he's such a unique character. I love writing about him because I have so many great stories and interesting stories and weird stories. And he'll never write a book because he doesn't like talking about himself. He doesn't like writing about himself. So if he doesn't want to do it, I will. So it's a interesting relationship that we have.
Well, it's amazing. Again, Chris Jericho here on the Rich Eisen Show. What wrestlers have made of themselves outside of the ring, okay?
Sure.
John Cena is like, he's turning himself into a bona fide
he's on the brink of being
comic actor right
legit
now.
leading man. But like I said, if you look through the guys, okay, so you got obviously The Rock, and you got Cena.
Excuse me, President Rock, potentially.
I have no doubt that that's going to happen at
Seriously,
some point.
now let's be serious. Do you think he's going to
Honestly,
run
I do.
for president?
I think not to get political, but I think we're in the era now of celebrity presidents. I think our current president got in because he knew how to work a camera. I think Rock knows how to work a camera better than Trump does, and has much more charisma and much more likable. So if you look, you don't even need experience to be a president anymore. All you need to do is just have the celebrity value. So I honestly think The Rock will run for president.
Okay,
I really do.
So then walk me through the other ones that you're about to.
Then there's Cena, legitimate. About to be leading man. There's Dave Bautista, who has made I think $3 billion in his
He's a guardian
movies.
of the galaxy.
He's going to be in Blade Runner, and he's going to do a movie with Jodie Foster. But then, you can throw Jericho in there. I got 4 New York Times best-selling books. I got a #1 song on the radio. I got one of the biggest podcasts in the world.
Yes, you do.
Right alongside yours. This is all stemming from the work ethic of Vince McMahon. And also, too, there's no prima donnas allowed in the WWE. There's no, this coffee's too cold, throwing it against the wall and storming out. You do your job. You do the work you're supposed to do. You don't act like a prima donna, and you stay until the job is done. So when we come out into the other world, show business, Hollywood, wherever it may be, people are always surprised about the work ethic and how easy we are to get along with, because that's the way we're taught. You do not act like a dick with Vince and his people.
Well, Dwayne Johnson's work ethic has become legendary here.
Sure,
in Los
absolutely.
Angeles. For real.
Yeah, absolutely. He's always got something going on. This project, and you're always thinking bigger.
Seems like it for him.
And that's what you need to do. Even with my podcast, it was doing really good. So then I was following Carolla's model. He has the Adam Carolla Network.
He's coming in tomorrow.
I'm going to his show tomorrow.
Ace man.
We'll meet each other in the way.
Look at that.
But now I have a podcast network, the Jericho Network, where I find shows, bring them on, and kind of cultivate that way. You have to think big. Why should I just have a podcast? Why shouldn't I have a whole network?
Right.
Why not give it a try? No one's going to tell me no.
Chris Jericho here on the Rich Eisen Show. What do you got for me on Ric Flair? What do you know about him?
Yeah, we were just talking earlier. He was, from what I understand, was close to the edge.
Sounded like it was
20% chance of surviving this thing. And then, 2 days ago, he posts a video on Instagram wearing a shirt that says, "I'm not dead yet, mother effer." So that's Flair.
That one. Did you see that one?
Yeah,
it was amazing.
It's everywhere.
It was amazing.
So you got to think about this, though. The guy was in a plane crash, broke his back but survived, got hit by lightning. Who gets struck by lightning? He did. He's the Keith Richards of wrestling as far as like the amount of, substances and everything. And he almost dies from this whatever complications he had, but he's still alive. This guy is like I said, I'm like, Nature Boy Ric Flair will not die. He's not supposed to die.
Right.
And that's why it doesn't surprise me that he's back, and he'll probably be sitting on this couch in 3 months, driving you crazy,
Oh, you'd
wooing
love that.
and screaming
Yeah,
and yelling
wooing.
and strutting and all that sort of stuff.
I know.
I heard a story that he had lost his memory. Like when he came out of this, he was foggy, wasn't thinking. He was using a walker, and they were giving him physiotherapy. And just out of nowhere, he put the walker down and started strutting and saying "woo, woo," just out of instinct. Like that's how you kind of knew he's feeling. But oh yeah, he's wooing.
Is that a true story?
That's what I heard.
Or is that like some sort of Chuck Norris tale or something?
Does it really
like that?
matter? It makes for a
doesn't
great
matter.
tale at
It's
this point.
it's
He
incredible.
got struck by lightning, so we'll say it's true, right?
Oh my gosh. What was it like? Because again, you grew up around the New York Rangers, right?
Yeah, my dad was a Ranger from 70 to 75.
So
Like the glory years of the Rangers until
Ron
Messier.
Duguay, right?
No, this
No, it
is
was
earlier.
pre-Duguay?
This is Rod Gilbert, Ed Jackman, Vic Hadfield, Emile Francis, the Cat was the general manager of the team. That was the year of that my dad played. So my dad was on I can't remember, it was like the big checking line. It was him, Pete Stemkowski, and Bruce McGregor. And they fought everybody. They were the checking line. But my dad scored 22 goals a year, 2 years, 3 years. He did 18, 22, and 20.
Right.
So that's like a modern day, now we call them power forwards. Back then they were just tough sons of bitches, and the guy could put the puck in the net too.
Sure.
If he was around now, he'd be making, what, $8 million a year? $10 million a year?
Please.
Whatever it may be as a power
Exactly.
forward like that. But that's like, when you go to New York, and you know this, you're from New York, people still ask me all the time, hey, how's Teddy Irvin, number 27? How's your father? Wherever you go to the Garden, there's still guys that work there, that were working there in the 70s when my dad played.
Do you have any memories of it? Because you were like 4 or 5, right?
I was 4, I was 3 or 4, and I remember a couple things. One, I remember hating going to the Garden because it was so loud. Like, it was so loud screaming. I used to put like this little sweater that I had over my head. And then the other one I remember is like one time my dad had a breakaway, and I was waving at him. He never waved back, and I was so pissed off. Like, why aren't you waving at me, Dad? You know what I mean? So it's cool, though, because my actual 25th anniversary of wrestling to the day,
Yes.
October 2nd, 2015, was in the Garden. We had a show in the Garden. So it was like from the Ponoka Moose Hall in Ponoka, Alberta, to Madison Square Garden, continuing the lineage of the Irvin family in the Garden. It was pretty cool.
Pretty damn cool. Everything about you, man. No is a 4-letter word. How I failed spelling but succeeded in life.
Yeah,
By Chris Jericho.
there you go.
Right here.
Listen to it.
Go check it out. Bookstores near you and online.
Bookstores, garbage cans,
Come
bake
on
sales,
now. Come on
garage
now.
sales,
What are
whatever
the-
it may
what are
be.
the photographs
Just
in
wait,
here?
it'll be on sale for $1 pretty soon with a big orange sticker on it.
Look at you
There's
flying
pictures
in
in
the
there
air.
too. There's even pictures in there, guys.
You are, look at
Yeah,
you. Yep,
Yeah.
you got you had the baby-faced assassin. I like it.
That's my dad. He was called the Babyface Assassin. in New
right.
York, yeah.
That's it.
And that's another one. They weren't going to see. This is a self-help book. It's called. So they weren't going to put pictures in it. I was like, no,
Come
you're
on,
putting
you
pictures in
gotta
it.
put pictures
You're putting
in it.
pictures in it. And I was such a pain in the ass. They put pictures, like 16 pages of pictures, and then I was still mad that they weren't in color.
Look at
And
you.
they're like, Jericho, just stop while you're ahead and get out of our office. So there's fine pictures. I want them to be in color, but they're in black and white, which is just as good.
It's all good.
It's fun. It's a
Congrats,
fun book.
Congrats
it's a fun
on
day.
this. Congrats on this.
Thanks, Rich.
Please come back anytime, Chris
Absolutely.
Jericho.
Next time, can we put me on the other side of this, running too?
Dude, what more do you need? You've got a podcast, you're
Yeah,
in music, you're in wrestling, you're in books. What more do you need? Can't a man just have a mug?
I want your logo. Is what I'm going to take over your logo. It's like Game of Thrones. I'm going to attack your logo and steal it for myself. That's what's going to happen. I am the new Khaleesi.
He just Dracarys my mug.
He really did.
Dracarys.
By the way, do you like that? Well, that's what she says, Dracarys.
Oh, for the dragon.
I just used it as a verb.
You did.
As opposed to
was
just
He
good.
made you a Tarly.
Dracar was a great cologne when I was a kid.
Dracar
too.
Noir.
Yeah.
Let me
Oh,
tell
yeah.
you something.
Good stuff,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, because we're right around the same
Yeah,
age,
sure.
okay? I'm 48, you're about to be 47,
yeah.
right? Okay. Dracar Noir meant business.
Oh, yeah.
In high school.
Oh,
Okay?
absolutely.
And
What type
only,
of
hold on a
business?
minute. Excuse me. Only to be outdone by a gentleman named Paco Rabanne.
Yeah.
Remember Paco Rabanne?
I never went to Paco. I was
You went
good.
right to Dracar?
I saved up my money to buy a thing of Dracar because I thought that means business.
Oh, it did-
Didn't work, but it smelled good. So
And now the Uber driver just like douses himself in it.
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
much.
Now it's like really cheap cologne.
You know what
it's
I
like
mean?
Old Spice. Remember that one? You like.
You just
do
threw it
that?
on there.
Yeah, you put it in your hand.
Dabbed it. You dabbed it on, yeah.
Yeah. No one does that anymore.
My dad had Canoe.
Wow.
Yes.
I don't know that one.
Oh yeah, you don't remember the
Polo
commercial?
was the other one.
Polo was one.
By Ralph Lauren.
What was the last cologne you put on?
I don't wear cologne.
Wow.
Del Tufo.
I mean,
Yeah. Come on,
everything
man.
you're
Come on,
mentioning,
man.
Drek, are all those. I
John Varvatos has a
Calvin
good
Klein,
cologne.
we had them all.
Should I wear cologne?
You should. That's why you're sitting over there by yourself. If you had cologne, everyone would be sitting by you,
That's a good point.
being friends with you,
did
enjoying your
Dracar
company.
Did Dracar Noir work for you, Del Tufo?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Many days in the DJ booth.
This has been a good show. Dracar
Stanley.
Noir, Paul Stanley.
The Rock.
I'm an old whore on the street, and The Rock. What more do you want on the Rich Eisen show?
I think we need to quit while we're ahead.
I think we should. I think we should have quit 5 minutes ago.
No, actually, this has been my favorite part of a great conversation that I've enjoyed from start to finish. Check out Chris Jericho's new book, No is a Four-Letter Word, on Podcast One. Check out his podcast, Talk is Jericho. Of course, he's the lead vocalist of Fozzy. I can't even... There's not enough time left. Antonio Brown's calling in.
Okay.
So I can't read all of your credits.
Richie, he's not going to talk about Dracar Noir.
At I Am Jericho.
Should we ask Antonio Brown?
What his cologne is?
We should. This should make it the theme of the day.
I like
His
it.
cologne is Touchdown.
Oh,
Yes.
by Fabergé.
844-204-RICH. When we come back, pharmaceutical or practice squatter? That's next here on The Rich Eisen Show.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on radio stations across the country and audience.
If you like that video, be sure to download our app. Don't have any memory on your phone? Let's start to delete some of those slow-mo videos you have. And you know which ones I'm talking about.